What color are Taylor's eyes? I don't know. Don't worry, I'm not going to trigger you out of the gates. Welcome in on a Monday morning, Victory Monday across Kansas City. The Chiefs, of course, get it done yesterday against the Chargers. What a game. What a moment. They are now 6-1 on the season after a 31-17 victory. Let's welcome on and say hi to Kendall Gammon. Of course, you hear him every Friday and Monday before and after games here on KCMO. And this report is brought to you by Xfinity, the next generation 10G network. Only from Xfinity, the future starts now. Kendall got that offense going yesterday. What'd you think of that unit?
Yeah, that was phenomenal, and I'm going to tell you right now, Travis Kelce, when he does the kind of things he did yesterday, that's pretty special, and that just makes everybody better.
It really does. And you know what? I mean, what do you have, 9 catches in the first half for 140-some-odd yards? It was unbelievable. What was working so well for him?
You know what? I'm watching him, and he is fast, but he's slowed down a little bit from his early days, but he just has this knack of understanding the windows in the zone. And then we've heard it talked about a lot throughout this year, but he does. He and Patrick just think on the same wavelength, and they understand what's going on together. And I know you know this. A lot of this has to do with the fact that he used to be a QB at one point in his life, and he just understands things, I think, better than others. Then the fact that he and Mahomes have been together for so long, I think that's just huge.
How unique is that? I mean, you're right, and I thought Tony Romo did a good job kind of showing some of this yesterday, where he's basically, I don't want to call it street ball, but he's modifying his routes based on what the defense is showing him. But how unique is it for a quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end duo to be on the same wavelength as well and as much as these two guys are?
I don't think you've ever seen it to this degree. I mean, there's no doubt that, Travis Kelce is the best tight end that's ever played this game. I don't even think it's arguable. So we are seeing something, we say it all the time. We've seen all these first and generational talent with Patrick Mahomes, but it's the same with Travis Kelce. And again, he just gets out there. He does a great job. I guarantee you, he's lamenting the one catch that he thinks he should have made when Mahomes. And I said this to my son Blaze as we were watching the game: is Mahomes runs towards the line of scrimmage and he flips the ball sometimes, and it looks easy, but it is just not. I mean, some of the things he does, he makes look easy, but they are just so darn difficult. And it is amazing how it continues to have that availability.
How about Kendall, McCole Hardman? He comes back. He has a big punt return in the game yesterday. He had one catch. But he had his presence felt. The guy just got back to town 3 days ago. How does that change the special teams and also the wide receiver core going forward?
Well, it's huge. I mean, he does have that long speed, and we saw what he did on that punt return. Special teams are a big part of the game, obviously, and when you can set up field position like he has the ability to do, that's an enormous thing. If he makes too many returns like that, you're going to see teams start punting away from him. Now, I know it's early; he only had that one, but that and the fact that he can come back and he has a familiarity with the offense, I think, is huge. And he had a big catch there. I think it was later in the second half. And again, he knows what's going on, and he's a veteran presence as well for some of the other younger receivers.
Mm-hmm. That defense as well continues to shine. Young, hungry defense. We've talked about them all season long, but against a really good quarterback in Justin Herbert, and there's a lot of weapons on that side of the ball. What did you come away with thinking about that side of the ball yesterday?
I was amazed with a couple different things. Number one, Chris Jones didn't get a sack. He had one pressure. But I'm going to tell you, to me, he was the MVP because they are having to pay attention to him. And I'm convinced that he's what really allowed all the other sacks to happen because he's a wrecking ball and people have to pay attention to him. And he just keeps playing harder and harder. And nobody there before him to congratulate everybody else when they get their sack. So he's playing a great team game. And the other thing was, I think when Bolton came out, Drew Tranquil just comes in and the transition is seamless. With bringing a new linebacker in there. And I think those are two very big things. And, of course, the defensive backfield, and, they get a couple interceptions, and they are just playing some great football.
All right, so is Jones, we know about the contract drama from early in the season. Is he going to get that? Are the Chiefs willing, you think, to give him that massive deal, knowing that you got the salary cap and you got to make this thing work and make it fit?
I'm of the belief that he's not going to get what he would have gotten had he taken it earlier in the season. I don't know what will happen from that. That's just one of the downfalls of having a QB like Patrick Mahomes is you have to deal with some of this. And it's not just going to be Chris Jones. They may give him a contract at some point. I'm not sure. But there's several people on the defense especially that are great players, some of the best in the league, and it's something that we're going to have to come to grips with in Chiefs Kingdom is, some guys are just going to have to walk because they're going to have better offers from other teams, and it's the nature of the salary cap, and it's tough at times, but quite honestly, it's also what helps keep the NFL so relevant and so competitive when you distribute some of the stars among different teams that are willing to pay.
Yeah, that's well said. Kendall Gammon on KCMO. Kendall, I got to ask you, I mean, you look at the Chargers, I think they've got a really good quarterback in Justin Herbert, but I don't know. I mean, Brandon Staley, is he the guy there? Because far too often he looks overmatched, and he's a defensive guy, and his defense has stunk this year.
Yeah, you talked to a lot of reporters this last week in L.A., and they said that as well, which is the fact of the players that are on that defense of the Chargers are much better than how they're playing right now. And really, Staley, it's early in the season, but what are they, 2-4 now? Whatever.
3-4, yeah.
And 3-4, okay, yeah, sorry. But they talk about the fact that they believe that nothing less than not only getting into the playoffs, but winning a playoff game, that they believe he gets fired if that doesn't happen. So we'll see. If they continue to spiral down, it wouldn't even surprise me if he doesn't make it to the end of the season. But you're right. The expectations of what's going on there are not being met.
And excuse me, you were correct. They are 2-4, the Chargers. The Raiders are 3-4. The Broncos are 2-5. Of course, the Chiefs have them next week. I mean, Kendall, this division, they're going to have this thing wrapped up before Thanksgiving. I mean, it's crazy. What does that do for a team when you can lock up a division by potentially mid-late November?
It really is amazing. But the big thing about this, it's not just the division, because I do think that's a foregone conclusion. They don't take it for granted, but you look at the numbers, and you're exactly right. The big thing is, once the NFL added a couple more playoff teams a few years back and went from from 2 byes to 1, that made it more interesting getting down to the end of the season. So it's not just about your division and getting one of the top 2 byes. There's only 1 bye, and it is so vitally important to get that bye and be that number 1 seed. So the Chiefs have a rallying cry till the end of the season.
All right. And what'd you think of the Brittany Mahomes, Taylor Swift, what would you call that thing? Little handshake deal there? What'd you think of that?
I did chuckle about it. They're having a good time. I don't see why you can't just enjoy it and be all about it. I think it's a pretty cool thing. Some of my friends that are up near there were able to have their grandkids get a picture with Taylor, and I appreciate that. And that's a pretty cool deal. I don't know. I like it. I think it's a good deal, and it's nice to see Kansas City more and more in the forefront of everything going on.
I agree. I mean, if that's bothering you, you got to look in the mirror. There you go, Kendall Gammon.
Exactly right.
Kendall, we'll talk to you on Friday. Get set for the Broncos. Thanks so much.
You bet. Take care, Pete.